If you're thinking, oh, that looks like a leaf, or that looks like a flower petal, or that looks like a lady, the moment you think it, start to outline it. So I'm seeing these leaves. So outline some images, some forms, using the lines that you've already made. You don't have to stick to them completely. You can kind of manipulate them by making more lines, but try to let the image reveal itself through what is already there. And keep going. Keep finding some forms, bringing them out. So here is also where you can pause the video and maybe just outline in a different color a few forms before you continue. And then I'm going to give you the next prompt, so when you're ready you can go over to this. We're going to work in texture now. So now you're going to do stipples, so that is making short dashes or dots, and you're going to start to fill in the shapes that you've taken out inside the lines that you've made. So I'm bringing it out in my leaf form, and you're making dashes and lines. Notice how by making a lot of short lines and dashes, you can create a feeling of movement. So you can manipulate these dashes and lines to either be in the same direction, or you can kind of start to gently curve them and then give form to what it is that you saw. So continue with this prompt using different colors. You don't have to stick to only one, and adding some dashes to whatever it is that you saw. And when you're ready, I'm going quickly for the video's sake, but you can take your time until you're satisfied with the prompt. We're fleshing it out now, and you need to trust your intuition and flow with it, so you'll know when it's enough. I'm not there now to stop you when I see that there's something happening, but you'll know when it's enough and when you're done with the dashes. You can take a different color or work in the same color depending on how you feel or what the composition is telling you. And now you're going to add squiggles to the outside areas of what it is that you saw. So now you can start to cover. Finished with the spirals and packing spirals in the background, you can start to use flat planes of color. And here you can use the lines that are still there to kind of give you some guidance as to what shapes you want to color in. And you just color in the lines, between the lines, over the lines, also filling in the background. And this is where you can bring out your shapes. So you can color flat areas in the background, and that which is in the foreground will come out. And this is a lovely exercise to get lost in. It's like coloring in when we're little. It's very simple, but by coloring in a certain way, you can also add texture and really lose yourself in this exercise. Whenever you need to, you can stop the video and you just carry on by filling in flat planes of color. Right, so when you're ready, the next prompt is contour lines. So we're going to be working with similar prompts during this challenge. You'll get to know contour lines, get to know flat planes of color very, very intimately, because we're going to use them often. But contour lines is essentially taking a form and doing an outline of that form, and then the inside you do another line, and the inside another line, and then it creates this kind of effect. Okay, so do that in a few areas. You can choose now whether you would like to make your main shapes, the main forms. So I'm doing my leaves on the inside as well with contour lines, or whether you'd like to work on the outside. But it's essentially like on a map when you look for at a mountain. So tracing, and you can go with fine lines, you can go with fat lines. Really, really fleshing out your image And from contour lines, you can go directly into detailed lines. So by this point, if you've paused the video, you might have really nice shapes and forms and a picture starting to form. Maybe you just have abstract shapes and you're just working with the shapes that are there and you're not really trying to create anything literal. And now you can use finer detail lines to bring that out, whether it's outlining eyes or maybe putting some details on flowers. So we're working in line now, and you can just add to your drawing maybe just some straight lines, kind of a before hatching becomes a hatch, just lines kind of parallel to each other, accentuating shapes. Alright, so once you've built up your drawing, whether it's abstract, whether there's an image, whatever there is, I want you to carry on until you feel satisfied, until you've used the squiggles, the outlines, the detail lines, the contour lines, the dashes and slashes. Once everything is there, you're going to look at this drawing, and if you haven't finished your drawing yet, finish it first before you listen to the rest of this video. So once you've finished your drawing, you're going to look at it and you're going to analyze or feel what arises in you, that this drawing might be saying, what this drawing might be saying about your creativity. So maybe the current state of your creativity as well as your creative potential, where you're going to go. So maybe you look at the background as symbolizing your current state of creativity, and what is forming in front of it, or what images you brought out, or maybe main shapes you brought out, speaks to your creative potential. Okay. And then within your visual diary or on a separate page, you're going to do a writing exercise, which is essentially a brain dump about what this drawing says about your potential and your current creative state. And a brain dump is writing whatever comes up. So I'm just going to kind of speak it now. The background is an orange color, and it reminds me of the sun as it sets in the sky. My creativity used to be the glimpses, the last beautiful glimpses of the day, where I only spent a little bit of time with the magic. But now there are flowers growing on this sky, and this symbolizes new potential and new time being carved out for my creativity. I intend to, with this course, spend as much time in this creative space and write and draw everything that wants to express out of me into the world. This is the form of a brain dump. You can make it up on the spot. That was quite sensical, but it can also be nonsensical. So take your time to write an entire page from the top to the bottom, dumping, 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 looking at your picture and dumping, 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 until you feel like you've written everything out. And then I hope that you have a very inspired week, and that you will join me again tomorrow, where we continue with this challenge. If what you make is not satisfying to you, sit with the dissatisfaction, sit with the judgment, sit with the fear, sit with the blocks, sit with the feeling of what the hell have I signed up for? What am I committing to? Why am I doing this? Sit with that, write about it, draw about it. And a beautiful way that you can flesh out this drawing is also to make more drawings inspired by what it is that you've created today. So if you've started with a theme of leaves or vines, maybe you make a few more right after drawing and being in this lovely flow state. Have a beautiful week.